Hello everyone, would you like to learn how to make these adorable little peppermint soaps? Well, I'm going to show you. First we take a little bit of shea butter, melt and pour soap. I'm actually using 3 butter though. You can use 3 butter or shea butter, it doesn't matter. You can even use goat milk, donkey milk, whatever type you want. I have mine already chopped up into little pieces here. And it's ready to melt. I'm just going to throw it in the microwave for a couple seconds. I'm going to start with 15 seconds. If that doesn't melt it, then we'll throw it in for another 10 seconds. And continue with 10-second bursts until it's about 95% melted, and then we'll stir in the rest until that's melted. And 15 seconds was perfect. Just going to stir this down, until the last few chunks are melted. The heat of the rest of the soap is going to melt the last few little chunks. There we go. Now we're going to take some peppermint essential oil and put in 6 drops. So it's 2 drops per ounce. So I have 3 ounces in here. 3 ounces of soap. So we'll put in 6 drops. Come on. It's a little slow sometimes. 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Stir it in real good. Put the cap back on here because that's really strong. And then we pour it into our molds. Should have had it ready to start with, but if you get bubbles at the top of your soap, you spritz it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. I have a few bubbles, so I'm gonna have to go grab my alcohol. It's okay if you're a little bit messy with this. It's fine. You can just peel off whatever is messy around the edges once it's dry. But this should be enough to make 6, 8, 10 soaps, maybe. 3 ounces should make 10 soaps. But it looks like I miscalculated and it's not quite 3 ounces. So we're going to have 7 soaps. That's okay. Let me grab my alcohol real quick. And we just spritz the top until the bubbles pop. Get it from different angles. Those bubbles don't want to pop. The alcohol will dry up and the smell will dissipate, so you don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that at all. Yeah, all we have left to do is wait for it to dry and then we'll paint the mica onto it. So I will be back once they're dry. Alright, now that the soap has dried and hardened, and that is my kikimora here there. We're going to pop it out of the mold, just like that. This is why you want to use silicone molds, because they're really easy to pull out of the molds. Hard plastic, you usually have to put them in the freezer for a few minutes. And kikimora, stay off the counter. Better not come up here. You usually have to put them in the freezer for a few minutes, and then that'll loosen them up enough that you can pop them out. It's still a little difficult, but it works. Some of these you have to be a little careful with, like the candy canes. You have to be a little careful with when pulling them out of the mold so they don't break. But the others will pop right out. There we go. Now all we have left to do is paint them. Let me move these a little closer. And we're going to start with green. What I have in here is a little bit of mica, skin safe mica. That this one still has a little bit of alcohol in it, but you dilute it with alcohol, or you dissolve it with alcohol. We're going to use our same alcohol that we sprayed it with. You can use 70%. I'm just going to make this a little bit wetter. A couple drops. Just use a pipette, just like this, and just add a few drops. And take our paintbrush and mix it up. And have it like a paint. And start with our trees. Just paint it on. Just like that. And if it's too thin, then just wait a little bit and add a little more, just like you would paint. Except the second coat you would place more than paint. I think I got this a little too thin. And try mixing it a little bit better with this around the edge. For the next tree. Yes, Kiki. There we go. I'm going to use it on the snowman's scarf. Gotta be careful with it. Just like that. And I'm going to put the little line here very carefully on his hat. And it's okay if you're a little messy on this part, because we're going to cover up what we got messy. And cover that up in black. Let's put a little bit more green on this tree. Like I said, you place it more than paint it. But you still want to kind of do the painting technique a tiny bit just to smooth it out. But we want these trees to be a nice dark green. Now, unfortunately, the first time you use the soap, the mica will come off. It will wash off, but they'll be very pretty until then. There we go. Let's add a little bit more to this snowman's scarf. It's a little light. It's not making much of a difference, but a little difference. There we go. Ooh, I forgot the candy canes. I like to put it in the little lines here with candy canes. And try to keep it to one side, because one side of the stripe we're going to make red, the other side we're going to keep white. I'm going to keep it to the red side so we can cover that up. I know I could use my smaller brush, but this one already has the mica on it. And I'm just going to fill in these little lines. And this mold I found at Walmart in their baking section, their little holiday baking section. And I believe it was, like $4. So, and it makes nice little Gust soaps. Or if you want to just give them away as little treats. Not like treats to eat, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Let's get this one. And this one. Don't be afraid to pick up your soap and turn it around if you need to. Just like any other thing you're painting, any other craft, doesn't hurt it. A little tip is when you pour your soap, make sure it's not a humid day. When I poured these, it was only 56% humidity. And as long as it's not humid outside, they're not going to sweat glycerin. If it's humid, they will sweat glycerin and it'll ruin the paint job. Rinse this out. move over to our finer brush. We'll do, let's see, what color should we do next? How about black for the snowman's hat, or should we do red next? Let's do red next. I'm indecisive, I'm sorry. But there you go, just add a little bit of alcohol. This one's a little drier than the other one. Be sure to put your extra back in the bottle. It sounds like Kikimora found one of my nephew's Nerf darts to play with. This could use a little bit more alcohol. There we go. Just a tiny bit more. Not much. Didn't take much at all. You don't want it to be soaking wet, just damp to make it into a paste. Okay, there we go. Start over here with Snowman. We're going to make this little flower thingy on his hat red. And again, if it's messy, it's fine, because we're going to go over the rest of his hat with black. And now for our candy canes. I love candy canes. You have to make it a little thick to cover the green. Wish I had some holiday music for background, but I don't. Closest thing I have is Harry Potter music, and I would get yelled at by YouTube for that. It doesn't have to be perfect. No one expects it to be perfect. It's just soap. And all that noise is my cat playing with her Nerf dart. She loves those things. Come on. I'm just smearing the mica off the edge here. I'm sorry. You could blow on it a little bit, dry it up. I think I need a little more alcohol in here for the second coat. It's drying up on me. want it to dissolve and liquefy into paint, not clump up. There we go, that looks better. Fix this one so it's not so clumpy. Because I am a perfectionist. It's just how I am. I'm a perfectionist with my own work. And other people's, I don't care about the flaws, I just see the beauty in it. My own work, all I see is the flaws. There we go. And let me rinse my brush. And now let's do well, candy canes are done, so we can move them up here. What color should we do? Let's do black. Got a lot of mica in this pot here. And then we will carefully paint the snowman's hat. And there we go. There's one. And you know what? Let's go ahead and paint his little smile. And his buttons. There we go. Now let's move on to the next one. We want his hat to be nice and dark, so we put some fresh mica on our brush. The rest of it doesn't need to be so dark. There we go. Little details make it pop. Now let's use our yellow. Add our lights to our tree. Or to our trees, plural. I don't English very well sometimes. I'm just gonna dot it on. It's okay if it's messy. It's okay if it's a little messy. Telling myself that as I cringe at the messiness. Eek. Too messy. It's okay, no one will notice. I'm the only one that's gonna notice. You and I are the only ones that are gonna notice that. Right? There we go, there's one tree. And that looks a lot better. Also blobby up at the top. Gonna have to put some more mica in this pot, and not too terribly long. We have enough to make it through this. There we go. If I can pick up the lid again. Now our trees are done. Move them up here. Move these little guys down here so we can reach them a little better. Now let's do brown. This one I was actually trying to get a flesh tone for Santa. With some little bit of orange mixed into the brown. Or not orange, but white. And it didn't quite come out the way I wanted it to. So that's why we skipped over the Santas in the mold. Try to get some of this off the brush. It's not so much. So all we're gonna do is the nose. That's right, Kiki, we're just gonna do the nose and the arms. And don't feel bad because I can barely see this. If you can barely see it, I can barely see it. My eyes have gotten worse these last couple weeks. The fibromyalgia is getting to me. It's actually a symptom of fibromyalgia, is worsening eyesight. I used to be able to see fine details really good, but now everything's getting blurry. There we go. That's all we needed the brown for. And our last last color is blue. It's actually a teal mixed with a light blue. That should be good. And we're just going to paint the little design inside the snowflake. And there's no way to not be messy with this. The lines are so thin. Try not to get too much mica on the brush. It's the trick. There we go. And then we use the leftovers on the brush to paint the snowman's eyes. Or we might have to get a little bit more. There we go. A tiny bit more. And give the snowman some blue eyes. I think that's where his eye is. Yeah, there we go. All done. Now our soaps are ready to dry, and then you can do whatever you want with them. You can use them or gift them. Or make them ahead of time. It is really good. Make them a couple months ahead of time. Let them dry out. That will make them last longer, and it will also make them lather better. I usually leave mine out to dry out for about 3 weeks. That's why my soaps last so long. And what else can I say? Yeah, to keep from getting too much mica in your pots, I use one of these spoons. It's 1/32 of a teaspoon. You can find them on Amazon in packages of like 20, like 10 to 20. You have to be careful though, they do disappear. But otherwise, that's all there is to it. It's that simple. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please visit thecrafterlostintime.com and help support me by buying a few things. Okay, bye-bye.